Ash, $10 billion, I would assume, can buy you a lot in this world. One thing it can't buy you, apparently, is full ownership of the Los Angeles Lakers. Crazy.
Yeah, I think I would spend my $10 billion on something else.
Oh, really? Okay, that's a great conversation.
Yeah.
I didn't have it planned, but we should talk about that. Like, if you had $10 billion, what would you do with it? Buying a sports franchise is maybe at the top of my list.
The difference is whoever bought the Lakers doesn't only have $10 billion. If I only had $10 billion, I wouldn't blow it all on buying the Lakers.
And to be fair, nobody actually has $10 billion, but yeah, you can leverage your properties and holdings in order to accumulate $10 billion. You think
a lot of $10 billion
liquid?
A lot of billions.
Okay. So the Lakers are sold. I mean, major just ownership change of hands in the NBA. Interesting conversation about the Buss family selling the Lakers to a guy named Mark Walter, who is a CEO of companies nobody else out there really understands or knows, but the guy's been incredibly successful. We'll talk about what would you spend $10 billion on, and are there other sports franchises that would sell for more if they hit the open market today? Talk about that on Onorato and Miller. Yankees have snapped a losing streak.
Oh, thank God.
Aaron Judge is still ice cold, relatively speaking. Rafael Devers traded. Desmond Bain traded. Thunder can close out an NBA Finals. The Panthers go back-to-back. We got a lot to do on this week's show. And we're going to talk with a guy named Josh Gates, who hosts a show on Discovery called Expedition Unknown. This guy's really interesting. He is the TV real-world version of Indiana Jones, Nicolas Cage's character in National Treasure, Brendan Fraser in The Mummy, Lara Croft, all of these people combined.
So he's
doing it.
Globe traveling.
Yeah, there you go. Globe trotting. Yeah.
Hunting things down.
That's right.
Okay.
Interesting conversation with him on this week's show as well. Let's get going on Onorato and Miller.
This is Onorato and Miller, sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Alpenhaus, and a happy birthday to one of Alpenhaus's owners in the family, Katie Osborne, with a birthday. So we do the show live on a Thursday night,
June 19th,
2025. Happy birthday to Katie. Yeah. Haven't seen her in a while. That's my bad. Got to get over there and see the Heck family and Katie Osborne as well, but a happy birthday to her. All right. Let me start here before we get into the Lakers conversation, because this is dominating kind of the sports world currently.
To tell you how much so.
Go ahead.
We had lunch out on our new back deck today, and your father brought up, your father or your mother? I think it was your father.
My dad.
Brought up the WNBA. And I said, when is the last time that the WNBA got brought up at a conversation with your parents?
By an 84-year-old man.
Can't name it?
Nope.
That means something's going
and
right.
That's what you said. How about what's going on with Caitlin Clark or something to that, right? Which is kind of how everybody just starts the conversation with her.
Yeah.
And this was the first. Is this the first dust up that didn't involve Angel Reese with Caitlin Clark? Like there have been tense moments and things, but this one was legit between J.C. Sheldon and then Marina Mabry comes flying in.
It was a physical game in general, even that didn't involve Clark, parts of it.
Yeah, which I always say all the time. Basketball is a physical sport. It's not a collision sport like football, but it's a physical sport. Anyway, Clark gets brushed
just
in the eye,
kind of swiped in the face.
Yeah, okay. And then knocked to the ground, and so we get technicals, and we get flagrant fouls, and we get some fines, and we get some ejections, no suspensions. But the question here is,
ejections really came
because of
plays
the
afterwards.
Yeah. Sophie Cunningham.
Yeah, just grabbing somebody on the way to the hoop.
Yeah, did Mabry not get tossed? It got upgraded to a flagrant 2, but maybe after the game.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question here is, who or what is most responsible for that physical play or that dust up that involved Caitlin Clark?
I don't know. I mean, Caitlin Clark isn't responsible for it, but I don't think she always gets people a little fiery because she's in their face and taunting them and chattering. And I mean, you saw it even in the New York Liberty game when they played. She's hitting a three and chirping at Stewie on the way back down the court, and Stewie's laughing like Stewie gets it. But there are certain people who just kind of take offense to it and aren't as maybe mature and react differently. I mean, yeah, sure, she's responsible for inciting a little bit of the physical play, but none of it was physical play from her. It was her taking most of it. So,
yeah. I mean, there is a way that people play basketball now where you literally are dribbling your back into somebody, right, to create that physical contact. We saw guys like James Harden did it to such a great degree, and now it's being used really by everybody, and including in the WNBA here with Caitlin Clark. And so that's part of it. Sam's comments there, jealousy on the other players' parts. We've talked ad nauseum about this, right? And I think it's an attempt by the WNBA to kind of correct some of the maybe officiating or free play that Clark has gotten. And you've heard it before. This is not an original thought by me, although I did think it and then heard it. This is like the Jordan rules with the Detroit Pistons, where the Pistons were like, okay, this guy is clearly great and he is ascending, and we just can't let him do whatever he wants to get in. We're going to get physical with Caitlin Clark. Like, we're going to make her feel us. We're going to knock her down. We're going to foul her hard. Things that are within the bounds of basketball, even if it creates a technical flagrant or ejection, right? You're not being suspended. And so you're doing enough here to be like, hey, you might be the most popular player in the league, and you might be this dominant, never seen before type of player in the WNBA, but we are here too, right? And we're not just going to let you score from wherever you want on the floor. Like, you come in close enough to us, we're going to knock you down.
Sure. The difference is I think Caitlin Clark understands that, because the whole Angel Reese thing was started from a hard foul by Caitlin Clark. Like, she understands that this is how the game works. I don't think she's ever like super offended. I mean, she gets chirpy and shoves back, which is fine, but I believe that she understands that this is the game of basketball and this is how it works.
Okay. Then maybe she's just a really good theatrical person.
Of course that's what she's going to do.
She's a basketball player.
That's what she's going to do.
The knock to the floor, the reaction from the swipe, the knock to the floor. Yeah. Then as you like walking away, you're smiling, you're playing to the crowd. I get it. It's all for effect in
Here's
so
the deal.
many ways.
I think sometimes, and you have to be in that situation, when you get poked in the eye, there is a second of like, and it's just one of those things. Like, I poke you in the eye. It's just, there's a delayed reaction when you get swiped in the face, and it's always like, oh God. I think that generally looks worse than it is. Yeah, and then I'd have to watch back, the shove to the floor. But when you get hit, even if it's just kind of off kilter by someone who's 1.5 feet taller than you, like, chances are you're probably going to go to the ground.
Yeah. There's responsibility to spread around here. We have been very clear that Caitlin Clark bears some responsibility for the actions of other players because she kind of goads them at times.
But that's what she wants. That's exactly what she wants. She wants you to respond, and she wants to get fouls on you. This is how this works.
So you're saying this is mental warfare on her part in a lot of ways. Yeah. Okay.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Because now you've got flagrant fouls and ejections on the other side. Who wins that? She's getting exactly what she wants.
Yeah. Yeah. You said it though. I mean, this is how the WNBA gets brought up at lunch with my parents.
Yeah.
Carol says, happy birthday to Katie as well. Sam is back.
Sam's back.
And watching. Carol said, where have you been? Sam said, mental break from social media.
Good for you.
Wow.
We can't do that, but
Very
Good for you.
mature of you, Sam. I like that.
Making decisions that are good for you.
Yeah, that's excellent. All right, let's take a time out here on Onorato and Miller. When we come back, we hope we're going to endure what we think will be some storms in the area today, maybe some Wi-Fi issues.
Well, we're already getting them, which is why
us
we're starting to
through the show here on Onorato and Miller. We'll take this quick time out. When we come back, the Lakers are selling for $10 billion.
Billion with a B.
If you had 10B, what would you spend it on? And if all sports franchises were up for grabs today on the open market, how many of them would sell for more than the Lakers just sold for, which was a record for a U.S. sports franchise? We're back in a minute.
Grab the family and get on the water in style with a Barletta pontoon featuring the power of a Mercury outboard motor. You'll be slicing through the waves with a smoother, quieter ride, leaving you to relax and soak up the sun. Whether you're cruising with a family or tubing and skiing, Barletta and Mercury will give you the best ride on the lake. With their unmatched reliability and refined performance, Barletta and Mercury won't let anything hold you back from having a summer you'll never forget. So don't wait. Stop by Alpenhaus Boats and start your next adventure today. Check out our great selection on Route 30 in Amsterdam and online at alpenhausboats.com.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bev's, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just going to have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always going to get the same experience when you shop at Bev's. At the end of the day, if you walk in these stores, you're going to see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Got a message from Carol here on Facebook. She just kind of suddenly, happy accident, went driving by Novice earlier today and saw the big setup for the Cat.
Oh, the Cat
15. The court's
yesterday
still down. No, court's still down. My guess is the nets are down, but maybe the courts are still down in the parking lot. But Nick and Garrett Bernardo, of course, one of our partners on the show here, Novice, $50,000 raised during the Cat 15. So congrats to them.
Awesome event.
That thing
always
continues to grow. It's a ton of fun.
Crazy.
I did pop over there on Wednesday morning and bought some gear, but also just wanted to see the setup. And it looks very similar to years past. They found the model that is successful, right? Like, why mess with it if it's working? But they did add in a basketball hoop, and Joseph Girard III was not outside. Joseph Girard III was coming down to do like a free throw shooting contest as part of the volleyball event. So they always find new ways to make it bigger.
You said they've expanded,
better, if you will. Oh my gosh, incredible! They're building in Latham the way that thing has grown. Yeah, and they need all the space they can get. Yeah, that's how well they're doing.
Yep.
Brian, good to see you too, buddy.
Hi, Brian.
Always good to see you, man. Appreciate it. All right, so the Lakers and Jeannie Buss is controlling owner here, governor they call her of the team, which is kind of a cool name. Everybody else is like a team president. Jeannie Buss is the governor. And so after her father, Jerry Buss, died, bought the team in 1979, ownership stays in the family. Jeannie's really the face of it all. And now the Buss family is selling, controlling ownership, 85% of it, to a guy named Mark Walter, who is CEO of TWG Global and Guggenheim Partners. Who's heard of those two companies before? Right.
I mean, not me.
But he already has stakes in, some of his investors include like Magic Johnson and, so stake in the Dodgers, Sparks, Chelsea, and some motorsports F1 teams as well.
Seems like
he's diversified in the sports world for sure. And now he's going to own the Los Angeles Lakers. I just think this is kind of a landmark moment in sports ownership because the Lakers were the longest owned current NBA franchise. Again, Jerry Buss bought him in 1979 for like $67 million, I think.
That's a lot.
From Jack Kent Cook.
Huh. I would have guessed less just because I don't really know what money meant back then.
Well, we should look it up because Steinbrenner bought the Yankees only like, I don't know, maybe the early 70s, 73. Is that right? He bought the New York Yankees, wanted to buy the Cleveland Indians, was denied, bought the Yankees. I thought it was 73. Yep. Okay. And how much?
10 million.
How about it? I mean, crazy, right? The way these franchises have just grown in wealth and popularity. Anyway, yeah, I kind of thought 67. That's probably a pretty good deal back then.
Yeah. It's $10 million. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, wild. So anyway, right, the Buss family has owned this franchise longer than anybody else has owned a current NBA franchise. So this is a big deal because while Jeannie Buss will stay on as governor and still face of the franchise, eventually that's going to change. And maybe Mark Walter, although not to the degree of a Steve Ballmer with the Clippers, maybe Mark Walter becomes a little more front and center with this franchise. And so changes are certainly coming here. There will be, things we talk about in the NBA, like the soft cap, the second apron, all these salary cap terms, right, that just won't apply anymore to the Lakers because Mark Walter comes in, I think, with an attitude like Steve Cohen, if you will, to the New York Mets, where, hey,
spend it.
I
got it.
I'm the owner now, right?
Yeah.
I need to be able to claim certain championships. And so in the post-LeBron era, what does that look like with Mark Walter running the team? Okay. My question was, I like Ashley's questions better. So we'll
do both.
We'll hold on hers because I think it's a better conversation. And I'll ask this now. What sports franchises today would sell for more or as much as $10 billion? I only have one in mind, but maybe you've got others. Go ahead.
My first thought is Cowboys and Yankees.
Yeah.
But that's the only two American sports franchises that might, and I'm not saying they would, but that might.
The Cowboys would for sure.
Yep.
And
I don't know that the Yankees would, but
I don't think they would.
Baseball probably not. But it would be a lot.
Yep.
You talk about different Europe and things like that.
So this record, this 10 billion is just for a U.S. sports franchise.
Okay.
Correct. We're not talking about soccer clubs. That's just a totally different ball game.
Yeah. Is there a hockey team that would go for?
No.
Yeah. So those would be my two answers. Dodgers.
I
Yankees.
do wonder what the Dodgers would be valued
Any LA,
at.
New York team, you start to think like, okay.
The Celtics just sold recently.
Do you remember what that number was?
Yeah, I think it was as much. I think it was 9.
Okay.
I think it was 9. If John Henry were to sell the Red Sox, that's not going for $10 billion, although it would be a lot of money.
Celtics sold for $6.1 billion.
Oh boy. Okay. I mean, talk about a difference here.
Washington Commanders, $6 billion.
Yep.
So we're just sort of, and then LA or New York teams, you're going to get a lot of money.
Yeah. I think honestly, if every sports franchise were up for grabs today on the open market, I think only the Cowboys would sell for as much or more than $10 billion. Look, the NFL is king. Everybody knows that. The Cowboys are the brand in the biggest sport in America. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem is Cowboys haven't won in forever.
Right.
And so I wonder if anyway that would matter. And so I don't have the question typed out here, but if you had $10 billion, what would you spend it on? You said you'd find better things or other things to spend your money on that rather than the Lakers.
Because $10 billion, if you're not buying a sports franchise, it can buy you almost everything else in the world. And that's the difference, is like you could live and do whatever you wanted if you weren't spending $10 billion on a sports franchise.
Okay.
Private jets, houses everywhere on the planet, vacations, boats, like you could literally have it all if you weren't spending it on a sports franchise. So I think I would do that.
Okay, let me ask.
But if you had to buy one singular
this
thing,
way. Yeah, I mean, one singular thing that's tough to.
It's going to be a sports franchise or a company.
Maybe I'll ask it this way. Would you rather have $10 billion in terms of like, you're not liquid, but you are, your wealth, right, is $10 billion? Or would you rather own the sports franchise of your choice?
$10 billion.
Yeah.
it's too, like, it's stressful. It's work. Like, you're literally working. It's work. I don't want to work. I want to retire with $10 billion.
Oh.
I don't want to own a sports franchise and feel like I have to go to every game.
I was going to say,
like,
you could go to any game you wanted.
I get it.
Yeah.
But if I had $10 billion, I could go sit in a box at any game in the entire world and not have to own the franchise and work. So that's just kind of where I fall. I would be a lazy $10 billion, 10 billionaire owner.
We had this conversation at work the other day, randomly. I forget how, but it was like, if you were to be rich, would you want to be famous also? Or would you rather be this inconspicuous,
would you rather be
wealthy
Walter?
person?
Right?
I
mean, he's probably not inconspicuous, but to the entirety of the world, he's inconspicuous. Yeah. Yes, I'd rather be him.
Yeah, I mean, he could walk down Hollywood Boulevard and most people wouldn't look twice.
And maybe soon it's Steve Ballmer. The same could have been said about him a long time ago, and now different. So I think once you kind of get once you're known as the owner of the Lakers, I think you become a little more recognizable. But yes, I'd rather be that guy.
He says Yankees, Dodgers, maybe the Cowboys. And then this answer is so on brand for Sam. Give me the money. Too. Hard to own a team these days. Athletes are biggest pains to deal with.
Right. They're paying Shohei Ohtani $1 billion over the next however many years of his career.
Yeah.
You're going to write a check for 10% of your wealth to one player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he said we're going to get there.
Yeah, we'll get to Rafael Devers and his new city now,
messing with
and a
Boston.
new attitude maybe that he's in San Francisco. Shohei Ohtani back on the mound. Rafael Devers from Boston to San Francisco. We've got our performance industrial dirty, difficult, done. Only one player finished under par at the U.S. Open. Little window into what our Triple D is this week. And speaking of the NBA, if you had to, would you trade Giannis Antetokounmpo if you were faced with the Bucks offseason this year? Mm-hmm. Do you have the guts to trade a player like Giannis Antetokounmpo? We've got all that coming up on Onorato and Miller.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
The great thing about Novices, no matter who you are, they're going to put all the detail in the world into your brand. I feel like they have been a big part of my success, making me feel comfortable. This is Harrison Butker, Super Bowl champion kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Claim your crown.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Alpenhaus, Marcella's, Bev's, Novice, and Performance Industrial. The guys that for the crew at Performance Industrial have some exciting things happening. Folds of Honor golf tournament on. Oh, there you go. Nice.
Folds. Good advertising.
Didn't even mean to make that happen. Folds of Honor golf tournament on Monday, June 23rd. And then a really cool event coming up towards the end of July, which we'll talk about on this show as we get a little bit closer, maybe even as soon as next week. Another golf tournament, but the winning team picks the charity of their choice, where a nice donation will be made. So kind of a cool concept there, all from our people at Performance Industrial. Awesome. All right, Shohei Ohtani back on the mound. And he dialed that thing up to 100, but the Padres were ready for him. No strikeouts, plenty of contact. Okay. Yeah. And I think the first two batters reached. It was first and third, and then a sac fly drove in a run. So Ohtani goes 1 inning. That was the plan anyway, just 1 inning, 2 hits, an earned run, no walks, no strikeouts. And clearly the arm is healthy. Yeah. And he knew, I got 1 inning. I'm about to blow this thing out a little bit. Big deal, obviously, because even if and if I'm the Dodgers, I have pitchers who are going to come back to healthy at some point. This is my closer. Ohtani is my closer or high leverage late inning guy. Maybe not my 9th inning every time closer, but like
he's not going to start.
I think he
just want
probably
him to
will.
be
If
that
I were
guy.
Dave Roberts, I would view it from high leverage, late inning situation. However that works out. 7th inning, bases loaded, 8th inning guy, maybe used as a closer. The only concern here for me, and not knowing enough about the medicals and the situation, is like, can he get ready as quickly as you'd need to if you were a
he's
reliever?
playing.
Yeah, but he's DHing. He's not playing. He's not really playing. He's sitting there most of the time. My concern is like relievers are able to ramp it up quickly. Ohtani's like he's a starter. So it's a slow burn to get ready to go out there and potentially throw 100. So I don't know if that's the best plan for his right elbow,
But
if
also,
you will. But
you're
I would love
batting
to see
and trying to warm up. Like, the only time you could be warming up is when they're playing the field.
I see.
Essentially, it becomes a little more difficult to warm up as a pitcher if you're also hitting.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great? It's like,
he's coming.
I
in
was just
from the
getting loose.
bullpen,
Yeah.
you got to hit. Okay, like, go back out.
Yeah, right. 1 out. He's warming up in the bullpen for the next inning. They get a few hits, and all of a sudden it's his turn.
He's coming back in.
Yeah.
Tough.
So I don't know how that works out, but this is obviously great for baseball to have Ohtani back.
I mean,
in the pitching
it's been
mix.
great to have him. I think people want to see him hit more than they want to see him pitch, to be quite honest with you. I think the novelty of it all is still very cool. But yeah, I'm glad that he's been hitting still while he's waiting to come back as a pitcher.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is all you want to see. You don't care what happens as long as he's healthy. He doesn't hurt himself. He feels good. You don't care if he gives up 3-4 runs, to be honest. And it just go out there, throw, feel good, come back in.
By the way, in that game, he went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs, and the Dodgers won.
Yeah, there you go.
He and Aaron Judge are landslide favorites currently to win the MVPs again in their respective leagues. Rafael Devers gone from the Red Sox to the San Francisco Giants. This one surprised me.
He literally played against the Yankees Sunday, and then Sunday night, traded.
And guess what? The Red Sox play at the Giants this weekend.
Oh, it's so good.
I was
so good.
Be better if it were the other way around.
Yeah,
right?
that's so good.
But still good. And you have the numbers there, 2 for 5 in his San Fran debut on Tuesday. I guess I say I'm surprised only because twice now in the last 5-6 years, the Red Sox have traded their franchise player.
Yeah.
Mookie Betts.
Xander.
Well, Xander they let walk right on it. But yeah,
still,
but
letting people go who you view as
Mookie and Devers are the guys who like and correct
build franchises around.
And when they traded Mookie and they let Xander go, they made the clear decision: we are building around Rafael Devers.
Right.
$300+ million contract, 10 years. And I get it. There was a ton of tension. He didn't love the fact that they signed Alex Bregman and they were going to move him from third base. And then he didn't want to play first base. He didn't want to DH. And then he didn't want to play first base. And so, but he is such a good hitter. I am finding a way to repair this relationship to keep him, especially when this is the return that Boston gets. 2 pitchers who are and a couple of minor leaguers who one might become something. There are all kinds of, reports out there that the Red Sox needed to free up some money, even for some international soccer interests. But I don't know. I'd find a way to repair this relationship. Devers to me is too good to walk away from.
I'm going to sound stupid on this, but
Okay.
Can you go back and why are we freeing up baseball money for international soccer?
Well, because you have owners who own multiple franchises.
But this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I don't disagree. If you're cash strapped,
figure out another
I
way.
would be selling off some
I'm going to
businesses.
trade
maybe.
Devers because we need money for the soccer team.
These are reports.
I
These
get
are
it.
reports
I
out
get
there, right?
Generally, when things are talked about, there's something behind it.
And then the comments don't match up either. Craig Breslow, I think he's president of baseball operations. He's a former reliever. He made a comment that like, this wasn't the best deal we had or could have gotten, but it was the right one to make for Rafael and our team. Like, what? What?
Well,
dude?
then it wasn't.
What?
It wasn't.
What?
This wasn't the best deal, but it was the right one.
hoping he
no,
just
the right
misspoke.
one is the best one.
Yeah, I'm hoping he just misspoke. So here's Devers now in his new situation. I'm here to help the team with whatever they need and whatever they want. I'm just another member of the team. I'm going to be willing to give my 100% wherever they put me.
This goes on. I didn't want to
Okay.
I don't have any buts.
Okay.
I don't really have a say. They're my bosses, so I'm going to play wherever they put me. Well, that's not what you said in Boston.
Well,
But I get it. Sometimes
Fresh
it's a
start.
change of scenery. Sometimes people dig their heels in because they want to force somebody's hand. And if that's what he did and that was the ultimate goal, well, he got what he wanted. San Fran's a pretty good team.
Yeah, that NL West is loaded. Dodgers, Giants, Padres, Diamondbacks is how it falls currently. And then the worst team in Major League Baseball history, the Colorado Rockies. Weekly check on Aaron Judge here. Now 74 games
That
in.
average, woo, free fall.
It's
I
down.
mean, you knew this is finally happening. We've talked about it not happening. He's in quite the skid.
It's down more than 20 points. So it's talking like the stock market here. It's down more than 20 points in the last week. He's still first, but it's close.
It is close.
He's like 7 points in the lead for tops in the majors. 26 homers is second, third in RBIs, first in OPS, first in hits. He is still a runaway MVP in the American League. And one thing I appreciate too about just doing these weekly updates, and I don't know if he falls below 340, maybe we stop. 74 games into the season already here.
Right.
Like this is hitting me that like, whoa, this season seems to be flying a little bit. And maybe because I'm not checked out on the Braves, but they're just not a good baseball team. So I'm not living and dying with every single game.
Well, and notice his skid lines up with
It always does.
the team skid.
It always
Judge
does.
doesn't hit, the Yankees don't win.
And that generally applies to the postseason. Also, they've had maybe more success in the playoffs than they should have because he doesn't hit in the playoffs, traditionally speaking. You're right. It lines up exactly with his struggles. The pitching, at least the starting pitching.
I mean, it's kind of unbelievable.
Now, wins are not. We know what we say here, right? We've devalued the win,
and I get it
for starting pitchers.
But to have two of your starting pitchers lead Major League Baseball in wins, is pretty impressive, regardless of how you view the win.
And look, I haven't devalued the win. If you're going to win as a starting pitcher, you've got to go at least 6. Okay, or 5. We know that, but these guys pitch deep into the game. They rack up strikeouts. They've got low ERAs. So when you look at the entire picture and then see 9 wins, you're like, these are legit wins. These are legit wins.
I would argue,
and maybe even some hard luck for Max Fried.
And that's it. And I would argue that he has not. I mean, he's been the sore luck loser in a lot of games because his offense has chosen not to show up on days when he's started. Yeah. I mean, he's lost some like 1-0, 2-1, at least when he's in.
Yeah, or no decision. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Like those are the games that he has gotten saddled with. So to have 9 wins despite all of that is pretty good.
Yeah, he's been an incredible signing. Where would they be without him? You'd wonder, right?
Well,
considering the Garrett Cole injury.
Especially with no Garrett Cole.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh Gates, host of Discovery's Expedition Unknown, still on the way here on Onorato and Miller. But we've got to talk about the U.S. Open.
And now, Dirty, Difficult, and Done. Sponsored by Performance Industrial.
Performance Industrial, Karen and Bill Miller, Sean Wilcoxon, great team at Performance Industrial. There's never a job too dirty or too difficult for them to get it done. JJ Spawn wins his first career major at the difficult Oakmont Country Club. What did we say last week? Scotty Scheffler called it the toughest course,
US Open.
Maybe.
I think toughest U.S. Open course.
No, he just said toughest course.
In America?
Well,
I mean,
it played that way.
Yeah, it was.
The weather was brutal too.
Yeah, it wasn't good. But you could tell, yes, the weather does not help. When you have rain and storms, you're getting delays. That's never a good thing. But just the shots, you've got guys in the bunker, in the water, in the rough, in the high grass. Like, it felt like every hole somebody was in a bad situation And that's what they predicted, and that's what they got. But yeah, when the winner is the only golfer to finish under par, that tells you exactly how hard that course was. But how cool was it? And I know we had kind of said, by the time you get to the end of Friday and you look at that leaderboard and you're like, nah, I don't know if I really am excited about watching this on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
I thought it was really fun on Sunday. This is how we learn about and start to root for new people, is like they kind of insert themselves in big moments. Because let's be honest, outside of the majors, you're not really dialed in. I'm not really dialed in to golf events that aren't majors. So when young people or different people who aren't your Scotty Schefflers and your Xander Schauffele's and all those guys, this is how it happens. So I thought this was really fun. And the putt at the end to clinch it,
64 feet.
Incredible. Longest putt all weekend. And he hit it to birdie the 18th. And with his family watching on Father's Day, just so cool. So cool.
That was it. In order for him to finish under par, he had to go birdie to finish. The 71st, 72nd holes, he birdied both of them to break out of what was a tie at +1 and to win at 1 under. Pretty impressive. And his story is interesting. Won't go into great detail here, but Southern California guy had to walk on at San Diego State and now wins his first career major. It's a U.S. Open for J.J. Spawn.
Those are the people you can root for.
At Oakmont, which was, a brutal course. You look at the list of names of guys who missed the cut. Impressive. And just to be able to battle that course and win the U.S. Open, pretty cool.
Yeah. Sure.
All right, we'll take a break here on Onorato and Miller. When we come back, Josh Gates, host of Expedition Unknown on the Discovery Channel, will join us. We also are going to talk about whether or not we would trade Giannis Antetokounmpo this offseason if you're the Milwaukee Bucks. Shedeur Sanders making more headlines off the field than on it. Not good. And Panthers go back-to-back for the first time since some other team in Florida. Back right after this.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bevs, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just going to have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always going to get the same experience when you shop at Bevs. At the end of the day, if you walk in these stores, you're going to see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on. For cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair, you can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alphen House.
The new season of Expedition Unknown comes to Discovery this week. Josh Gates is our guest. He's the host. He's the executive producer. He is the crazy person involved in all of it. Josh, when's the last time somebody said you are out of your mind?
Oh, within the last week, probably, occupational hazard.
And I'm just curious, what is it that really drives you to do some of these things? The trailer of the new season. It sounds like you're always excited, but I have to imagine there are moments of suspense and fear involved as well.
Sure, that happens sometimes. But look, like a lot of people, I love a good mystery, and the sorts of stories that we investigate, vanished explorers, lost cities, buried treasure. These are the stories we all kind of love, right? We all kind of want to know what's really out there. And so I do get very excited because this is an opportunity to go chase down some of the world's greatest legends and mysteries. So it's an exciting job.
And what I love about it is, as much as I like to think I know about World War II history, I'd never heard of the America bomber before. When did it hit?
Isn't that something? Yeah, so this is a plane that Hitler and the top Nazis dreamed of. They didn't have a long-range bomber that could cross the Atlantic, and they obviously wanted to bring the war to American soil. Their dream was to obliterate Manhattan and Washington, D.C., but they lacked a plane that could do it. And so they started building prototypes of a long-range bomber starting in about 1942. In the chaos at the end of the war, a lot of the information about those planes and the prototypes themselves were destroyed. And so there's always been this question of how close the Nazis really were to building a functional America bomber. So we're working with experts and digging into long buried tunnels and facilities to find more evidence about this really terrifying project.
And this season takes you all over the world, not just to Nazi Germany, if you will. Do you have a fear? I mean, you're doing some deep sea stuff. Is there anything that scares you ahead of what you are attempting to do?
Yeah, I mean, there are things that give all of us pause. I don't love dangling off of cliffs on tiny ropes and things like that, but, sometimes that comes with the job. But I have to say, I do get so enthusiastic about these stories that sometimes all those other concerns just kind of fade away. We are going to be diving this year in the Pacific looking for lost planes from World War II as well, lost American pilot from World War II whose Thunderbolt aircraft is still missing. We're going to be looking for the pirate treasure of Anne Bonny, a famous female pirate who I don't think has had enough press. And we're going to be going to the oldest human construction ever, a place called Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, which is filled with mystery that we still don't really understand. So those stories are so engaging that sometimes the dangerous stuff kind of, slips my mind.
Is the most challenging part just condensing all of the material you have into one episode?
Yeah, sometimes that is a huge challenge. We have a show this year about these man-eating lions in Africa, this very famous pair of lions that killed a bunch of railway workers in the late 1800s. And they're still learning more about these lions and their rampage. But it's a journey that took us from the Field Museum in Chicago all the way out to East Africa. And we got a ton of footage. And then to try to bring all that down into, 48 minutes or so is a huge challenge.
Yeah. How about it? What's one of your most recent pinch me moments? You get to see things in this world that most of us could never even dream of because we don't even know it's out there, first of all. But maybe where you happened upon something, you saw something for the first time in real life where you had seen pictures of video before and you thought, I can't believe I'm the one here doing this.
For me, this season, it was at Göbekli Tepe. Göbekli Tepe is this very, very important site. It is, as I said, the oldest human construction ever discovered. And we were able to go there and not just visit up on the viewing platforms, but to get down into the pits with archaeologists and to excavate and to dig. And I can remember being there and, moving earth and soil into these buckets and looking up at these huge pillars that are there and these mysterious carvings and glyphs. And to think, wow, I'm down in the middle of this, being a part of this excavation and finding Stone Age tools from 12,000 years ago. And you think somebody held this in their hand just after the last ice age. It's a really electric feeling to be connected to the past like that.
And it's hard from an American perspective to grasp that when we're talking about 250 years. You're talking about thousands.
Think about that, right? All of American history condenses down into just 250 years. These are people that were, just after the last ice age. We're talking about 6,000 years before Stonehenge was built. So this is properly old stuff from way back. And look, these are the people who would go on to populate the world, and we probably wouldn't be here today without our ancestors at Göbekli Tepe. So we owe them a debt of gratitude.
My brother's a history teacher, so I say this without slighting him. But the knock on history, and I love it, so this isn't necessarily me, but the knock on history, Josh, you know this, is that history's boring. How do you make it relatable? But you find a way each and every week.
I have to say, I was the same. I can remember being a kid in school and thinking, I have to go to history class. But, here's the thing. History's not boring at all. It's really about storytelling, and it's about how that story is told. I mean, you talk about Game of Thrones. I mean, the history of the world is a Game of Thrones, minus the dragons, maybe. But it really is about how those stories are told. I mean, we're investigating, buried pirate treasure from a real female pirate. We're investigating lost planes from World War II that went down in these incredibly violent conflicts. This stuff is anything but boring. It's really just about getting in there and bringing that history to life.
Look, there's a reason they make movies about it, right? So give me some names here I'm missing, because Harrison Ford maybe tops the list as fictional explorers, treasure hunters. You've mentioned pirates a couple times already, so Johnny Depp gets a high mention, obviously. Nicolas Cage, everybody knows the National Treasure movies. The Goonies, how about an old school reference? And, we sneak Brendan Fraser on there, too, with The Mummy. He's
a classic.
Oscar Award winner now, too, right? Anybody else I'm missing that catches your eye or attention as you watch some of these fictional shows and movies?
Well, I guess we can't forget the video game Uncharted. We can't forget Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. But yeah, I mean, look, there's a reason these characters are so archetypal. There's a reason, Indiana Jones just springs to mind. It's because these characters really embody adventure. And a big part, I think, of what has made Expedition Unknown a success, even though I'd love to take all the credit, I think the credit really lies with the fact that these stories are thrilling, and we all want an adventure, and we all love a mystery. And so that's why they've become so iconic.
This is the guy you see each and every week, out of his mind, as we said. Expedition Unknown on Discovery. The new season is out now on Discovery. Josh Gates, thank you so much, man.
Thank you. All the best.
The great thing about novices, no matter who you are, they're going to put all the detail in the world into your brand. I feel like they have been a big part of my success, making me feel comfortable. This is Harrison Butker, Super Bowl champion kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Claim your crown.
Using the highest quality materials, artisanal craftsmanship, and creative design, we're ready to help bring the vacation experience to your own home. With custom-designed Legacy Edition pools, we're confident we can turn your backyard into your own personal oasis. And we'll be by your side through the whole process. Get outside this summer with Alpenhaus. Be sure to visit our 16,000 square foot showroom expansion on Route 30 in Amsterdam. Alpenhaus Pools and Hot Tubs, Amsterdam and Clifton Park.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Josh Gates, fun show. I mean,
really cool.
The guy is educating, searching.
Cool way to see the world.
No doubt about it. And as we were talking and I was doing a little research about the show and this season's topics, I was like, I'd be interested in that. I'd be interested in that. I'd be interested in that. So I might find this season of Expedition Unknown.
Yeah.
Check it out. All right. If you were running the Bucks, would you trade Giannis Antetokounmpo?
No.
Okay. But you can't win the way this team is currently constructed.
So you fix the pieces around him. You don't I don't know. For me, he is, for lack of a better word, and I know maybe we use this too much, generational talent. He's a generational talent in that he was one of the first. His story is very unique. But he's like Kevin Durant, but just a little different. There aren't a lot of players built like him who can do what he does.
Yeah, I don't disagree. The only problem with Giannis, if you will, is, yes, he's the first of his kind that's like, as long as he is. The problem, though, now is like you get guys like Victor Wembanyama who are longer and far better shooters.
I'm not
Giannis
sure about,
is not a good shooter.
No, he's not. But I don't know about multiple guys. There is no other Victor Wembanyama.
No,
like there is one.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't know. They're not going to come crawling out of the woodwork looking like Victor Wembanyama and Giannis Antetokounmpo and be able to do what Victor does. There's one guy. And there may be one or two in the next 20 years, but they don't come around often.
Yeah.
They just don't look like those guys very often.
And Jokic is not as athletic as Giannis,
he's
obviously,
different.
but he's big the way Giannis is, and he shoots it much better. That's my only concern with Giannis is like, if you clog the paint, he has a hard time scoring.
Yeah, I think you got to get shooters around him.
No doubt.
So that there's
when they won the title
who come out and push, and you got to get guys flying out at shooters.
Chris Middleton was an all NBA player. Obviously, he isn't anymore, and they trade him to Siberia, or otherwise known as Washington, D.C. with the Wizards. Bobby Portis is not the same guy. Brooke Lopez, although became a three-point shooter, big, is not the same guy. Damian Lillard's out for next season, or most of it anyway.
I just don't think Giannis is the problem.
To do. He isn't.
Yeah.
But if you're going to try to become something over the next 5 years, are you better off trading a generational talent like Giannis?
I don't believe
if the Mavericks called and said, we're going to give you Cooper Flag,
well, then yes.
and some other stuff, obviously, you would do it. You would do it.
But the Mavericks aren't going to do that.
I know that, but you would do it.
Yeah, because he's significantly younger. He's the face of the NBA for the next
going to be cheaper
20 years. Yes, I would do it. But that may be the only one I would do it for. Like, otherwise, build around him. And this is it. Like, they've already proven that they can win with him as their number one and the supporting cast. Well, now you're saying, well, this guy isn't who he was, and this guy isn't who he was, and this guy's torn his Achilles. Okay, those guys are the problems, not him. I think if you build back around him, they are a contender again.
Look, I wouldn't want to be the person who traded Giannis either. And I oftentimes think about that. Like, do I want to be remembered for trading player X? No, I don't think I would want to be that person. This one almost sent you off the deep end.
No, it didn't. It's so ridiculous. I don't know. It seems ridiculous.
You said the Magic traded for Desmond Bane. What do you think they gave up? And I said
3 1s.
4 1s. I said 4. I said 4 1s. And you said yes, but they also traded KCP and Cole Anthony. And I went, meh. This offseason is going to be interesting. Arms race in the East with Jason Tatum out and the uncertainty of what's happening in Milwaukee. Teams in the East, specifically Orlando,
like, let's go now,
and I believe
right now.
Detroit. These teams, I don't know if the Knicks have enough moves available, but Orlando and Detroit, I think, are going to become very aggressive here to say there's a window of opportunity.
Just
we're going for it. But maybe not, because Boston is in salary cap hell, and they might have to trade guys like Jaylen Brown.
Well, and you don't know how Tatum comes back either. Like, not everyone comes back from an Achilles the way that some people have recently.
The East is there for the taking here. As good as Indiana is, and I believe will continue to be, Orlando now, you add a shooter like Bane to go with Jalen Suggs, who comes back healthy. Paolo Banchero is a really good player. Franz Wagner. This is an interesting position franchise right now.
Do you remember how bad the Magic was?
Oh, when was
a few years ago? I have trouble going were sometimes. I don't know what I have trouble with, but the Magic was a few years ago. It's kind of fun because they've drafted very well and now made what you would consider a big move. I just am like, have we not learned from the 4 first-round pick thing? Like, it feels like every time somebody does that, it's the bad end of the deal. It turns out being the bad end of the deal.
Yeah, so the
Mikal Bridges, not going to be great.
The Wolves traded 4 1s to Utah for Rudy. You said it. The Knicks gave up 5 1s for Mikal Bridges. Phoenix gave up how many 1s for Kevin Durant?
It just doesn't seem to work ever.
It's interesting.
Because you just handcuff yourself with you're not able to draft future talent. Like, if this current construction does not work this year or even next year, well, you're done for the next 4 after that because you have no ability to draft talent. Now, if it doesn't work, you resort to trading Desmond Bane somewhere later on. You know what I mean? It feels like it hasn't. So maybe this will be the first time it does. I'd be interested to see. But recent history tells us this wouldn't work for the Magic.
Florida Panthers back-to-back Stanley Cup champs.
Hockey in Florida.
Brad Marchand was an incredible pickup. The dividends he paid, unreal.
6 goals in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Unreal. and Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett wins the Conn Smythe, and back-to-back for the first time since Tampa did it.
Right. Like,
So Sunrise, Florida, and Tampa, Florida, the most recent franchises to go back-to-back in the Stanley Cup.
and oh, by the way, a Canadian team still hasn't won it since 1993. I mean, that has to sting. And this is a team with,
And Edmonton loses in 7 last year and 6 this year.
you talk about generational talents. Connor McDavid
I was rooting for him.
is as great of a talent as this game has seen in a long time. And he's now lost 2 Stanley Cup finals to this Florida team.
And the great singular players in hockey, I'll make a broad statement here and then probably have to walk it back, generally win a cup. It took Ovechkin a while, but he got one.
Yep.
Sidney Crosby did it. Obviously, Gretzky and Messier and Patrick Kane, and you know how many singular guys out there that were great, didn't win one. Again, Yager and Lemieux and all of these guys, right? Even the goalies from Water, Brodeur, and they find a way to win one. So I hope that McDavid gets that done too. It'd be cool if McDavid and Matthews both do it for their respective current franchises.
Right. Yeah, I think so too.
And a ton of people, and even as a Devils fan, you're like, how could you root for Toronto? But man, I don't know.
Yeah. And early co-favorites to do it again, but co-favorites with 2 other teams. So the Oilers and the Avalanche.
Interesting.
To win next year. Already. I know, whatever. But yeah.
Marchand's a free agent. Will they be able to keep him?
Interesting.
Don't
know. I mean, they're pretty deep even without him. But yes, he was a very good pickup.
And they made it work. That it meshed. There was that beef between Bennett and Marchand back to when Marchand was in Boston, and they made it work, right? Good for them.
Yep. Broke the cup.
Shedeur Sanders has 2 excessive speeding tickets now in the last month or so.
So stupid.
101 and a 60 and 91 and a 65.
What? Like, why?
And he's driving a truck.
It's so
too,
unnecessary.
I believe it's a truck. That I would think that thing's tough to get up to 101.
Like 101 and a 60.
Yeah.
I mean, why?
There were good reports coming out of camp about how he was playing. Now this will take over some of the headlines, obviously. Because go ahead.
This is part of the knock on him is he doesn't say the right things, he doesn't do the right things, he's not going to study, he doesn't care, it's all about him. Look what you're just proving everyone right. You can't just drive the car normally, go to practice, go home and not make a big deal of it. Like, number one,
well, then he'd be Eli Manning.
Stupid and dangerous. Like,
he wouldn't be Dion's kid. He'd be Archie's kid.
You drive 80 and a 60 and get pulled over, and people don't really care. 101 and a 60. Now you just look like you're being a jerk.
Yeah. Okay. One more NFL note here before we go. The Ravens defense is just,
I love him,
bulked up beyond belief here. Jair Alexander, college teammates with Lamar Jackson. They're loving being back together. They were buddies back then. They're buddies again. But you put him on the outside with a guy like Nate Wiggins. Marlon Humphrey can move inside now to the slot. Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks. I mean,
it's nasty.
Is it enough? Is it enough? The AFC is going to be fun this year. It's going to be a lot of fun this year. Baltimore and obviously Kansas City, Buffalo. I think the Chargers take a big step forward.
We've been talking about them for a while.
I know, but now they got a legit coach who's building something there. I think the Chargers take a big step forward. Houston, of course, in the South as well. I think the AFC is going to be a lot of fun in the NFL. And I know you are sad because every time we look at the calendar, you go, man, summer is going to fly by. And I think to myself, yeah, but that means the NFL is coming.